Do you want to know a ridiculously simple hack that the biggest websites in the world are doing to almost double their traffic overnight?
Duh.
It's so easy that I guarantee you've probably heard of it but had no idea just how impactful it is and so never bothered to try it out. Well, not anymore, because in this video I'm going to show you how to double your blog traffic by solving a common issue that the pros know to look for, what the issue is and why you might not even be aware that it's affecting you, and the 3 main elements that cause this issue and how to fix them all in under 30 minutes. So that immediately after watching this video, you can take action and see results ASAP. So let's jump in and explain exactly what this issue is and how it can double your traffic. Have you ever heard the phrase that abs are made in the kitchen? It's something personal trainers say, and it basically means that you can do as many sit-ups as you want, but unless your nutrition and diet is locked in, you're never going to have a visible six-pack. Yeah, that's totally why I don't have a six-pack. The reality is that fundamentals like this are important in almost any industry, but we often miss them because we focus on the wrong things. We're doing more crunches and not enough carrots. As content marketers, we're fairly obsessed with traffic and getting the graph to go up.
Wow, graphs and charts.
But what if adjusting our diet and the fundamentals is something that could have the biggest impact on our blog?
Huh?
So let me explain. I've been writing content for over a decade now, both for myself and ghostwriting for clients. One of those clients was in the conversion rate optimization space, CRO. And so I ended up reading and writing about the topic pretty much every day. Before I started with them, I already knew about A/B testing and things, but what I didn't know at the time was the assessment process that the professional CROs do as soon as they take on a new client. However, once I learned this, it absolutely blew my mind, especially because of how much this would affect a website's traffic. Before they start any campaign, they basically fix 2 common issues. The first thing they do, and it's quite hilarious really, but they check that all the buttons work.
So inspired, so devious, yet so simple.
So it might seem silly, but with so many different devices out there, mobile, tablet, desktop, phones, not all your page designs function correctly on all of them. So it could look like you're not getting leads or sales, but in reality you've got page visitors. It's just that all the Android phone users can't click on the button for it to work. So fixing that, as you can imagine, is an immediate easy win. The other thing they check is the page loading time. So why bother with this? Well, simply because your traffic isn't what you think it is. So Google noticed years ago that more and more people are moving to mobile devices. And it's at the point now where around half of all internet traffic in the US is on mobile and rising, with some other countries as high as even 83%. Okay, that's fine, you say. Your site's optimized for mobile, it loads correctly, so what's the issue? Well, Google also noticed that if your site takes 4 seconds or more to load, you lose around 43% of your traffic. People get frustrated waiting for it to load and they leave. And this is only getting worse as we get more accustomed to wanting things quicker. Here's why you might not even know that this is affecting you. Like I said just before, your traffic isn't what you think it is because your analytics report isn't quite reporting correctly. It's telling you the total traffic that clicks to your site before any issues. So on paper, you might see that you have 10,000 visitors a month. However, this is the total traffic coming in before we measure those who left because of slow loading times. In reality, it could be that 10,000 clicked, but 43% of them left because the page took too long to load. 10,000 visitors, that's 4,300 gone immediately.
Wait. What? What's he saying?
The simple fact is as well that most sites that are mobile optimized still don't load fast enough. They appear on the screen correctly, just not quick enough. In fact, one of the biggest selling themes in the world doesn't load in under 4 seconds, and it's used by literally millions of websites. So as you can imagine, it's far easier to fix this than it is to get another 10,000 visits. That's why the CRO experts solve this issue ASAP, because it's one of the biggest wins and one of the easiest wins you can get for a new client right away. You're effectively doubling the traffic that arrives and stays and fixing this revolving door issue of people clicking, getting frustrated, and leaving.
Huzzah!
This leads to an almost immediate increase in leads and sales literally right after this is sold. What's even crazier though, it's really easy to fix. Sure, there's a few nuances and things like that, but there's essentially just 3 major issues that cause the site to load slowly. Even better still, once you know how to do this, you can fix it in the next half hour. And then suddenly, that 40% of traffic is no longer leaving. So let's get into it. The first issue is something called code bloat. It's just a technical term. So, have you ever gone to the airport for an extended trip somewhere and you've had to lug around an insane amount of suitcases? Maybe you're doing a year abroad and you need to take a heap of stuff with you. Maybe you just like a lot of outfit changes. Either way, it's all fun and games until you get to the airport and you have to deal with all those bags. You could try and get a baggage trolley if they're free, but let's be honest here, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go the pack mule route and load yourself up like some kind of suitcase donkey. I'm talking backpacks on your back so you can keep the passport close by, travel bags on your front, a suitcase in each hand with another balance on top, and then kind of kicking your other bag across the floor as you go. Yeah, it's not great, but you're in the queue to check in, and you just need to do this for another 5 minutes until you get to the front, right? Imagine if you never got to check in those extra bags and you had to carry them around the airport with you. Want a snack? Load up and shuffle. Want to grab a buck? It's shuffling time. Even worse, what if you had to do this for your entire trip? It would be so much extra effort, right? It sounds crazy, but the thing is, most websites operate like this. When the move to mobile started to come along, more and more sites' themes added in features to help take bulky desktop designs and make them now work on mobile. They just added it in. After that, they added in even more features to help attract customers, such as drag and drop page builders and stuff like that. So on the surface, it looks great, but the reality is your website has so much extra code in it that it's slowing down the load time like you wouldn't believe. On desktop, it can look okay, but on mobile, it can take far longer than you could ever want. That number one theme that failed? It's because it's bloated with literally hundreds of features to appeal to all these different audiences, and so it sucks at its main job, which is to load for a visitor. So if you're using the same theme, and like I said, millions of people are, there's a really high chance that your site isn't loading fast enough either, and you could be losing half of your traffic. Not great, right? Don't worry, because I'll share some free alternatives in a moment that'll load in literally fractions of a second. These are themes that were built from scratch to deal with all of this while still having the features you want and avoiding all the other issues. Literally all you need to do is swap from your slow theme to one of these and you'll see an immediate impact. Before that though, let's look at the next issue that's slowing down your site and causing you to lose customers, and almost all the internet has been tricked into this. So I live just outside of my local city and I travel in most days to practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The daytime classes are great because it's warm, but the traffic into the city can be awful. What is essentially a 5-minute trip can take 45 minutes to an hour, and I miss the entire class. However, if I go to the nighttime sessions, the trip is insanely quick, simply because the road into town is empty, while the road coming out of the city is gridlocked. So what does this have to do with site speed? Well, if I'm honest, most website hosting sucks. It's cheap because it has hundreds of websites all on the same server, each sharing and using the same resources. This is fine for starting a business and getting your website set up, but it's not great for growing one. Because when one site on that shared server gets busy, it reduces the resources available for all the other sites and it causes them to slow down, much the same way as how a busy motorway affects all the traffic on it. However, for slightly more money, you can get dedicated hosting instead. This is a server that's just for you and your website, and just like that open road, you never have to slow down because you're not having to wait for other users to get out of the way. Better still, if your traffic suddenly explodes in size from maybe a paid ad campaign or an influencer shout out, these dedicated servers can handle it, whereas shared hosting will literally crash when your traffic spikes, causing your site to no longer load right at the time when you need it to. No one wants me trying to scale up or make sales only for their website to die on them.
Ain't nobody got time for that!
However, there's one more issue we need to solve before we can have your site speeding down the road like a brand new Tesla. Have you ever had one of those days where your brain just isn't working right? You gotta leave the house, but then you can't find one of your shoes. You find it, you put them on, you step outside, and then you remember you need your keys. You go back in, you grab them, you head outside, and then you realize you need your coat. You go back for that, and you remember your phone is still on the kitchen counter. It happens to all of us. What was normally a smooth, easy process took way longer than it needed to because everything we did was out of order. Your brain just wasn't processing the information in the most logical, smoothest way that it normally does. Our websites sometimes are kind of the same. So depending on how they were designed, certain parts of the website's code will want to load out of sequence and slow us down. It's kind of like they had to go back and get their keys after they already went out the door. The car can't leave until you come back outside, etc. So to fix this, all we really need to do is reorganize the code so that it loads up in the most efficient way for the fastest load time. It sounds complicated, but the good news is that if you're on WordPress, you can get a plugin that will fix all of this for you instead. You simply install it, tick the boxes, and adjust the settings to improve all these issues and more, just like that. You can even do really cool stuff. There's a setting on there so that if someone mouses over a link on your website, it starts to load the page in the background before they even click. This way, if they do decide to click on it, it's even faster because it's already done half the work in advance. It's pretty cool, right? I will say this though, although each of these things we've covered so far speeds up your site on their own, to really get it fast and under 4 seconds, you need to use all of them together. Otherwise, everything I've covered here won't really work. But combine them, and like I say, you can easily take an 11-second load time or worse on mobile to 3 seconds or so. You just have to know what to click to make it all work. So if you want to fast track this setup and get a complete walkthrough guide of all of this from start to finish, including the tools to use, the settings to turn off or on, the insanely fast themes, as well as a step-by-step example of all of this in action, click the link in the description and I'll email it to you right away. No joke, but it can be the difference in doubling the traffic who actually get to visit your site, having an immediate impact on leads and sales, so don't miss out on doing this. Not only that, but all future traffic will have an even bigger impact on your business.